guys, happy Friday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are breaking down all the sports news that you need to know, including some information about Lamelo Ball. We're also talking about the top 10 highest paid athletes according to Forbes. I'm excited to get into that with all of you. Before we do, subscribe to the Fumble, tap the bell for notifications. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, share it with your friends. And now let's introduce the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on all things social media at JRayTheFanatic.
Happy Friday, everyone. It's your girl, Britt. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
So, as some of you may have seen in the chat, I let you all know that Jackie and I have already started our weekend festivities. We are drinking throughout the Fumble live show for the day.
I have celery juice.
Oh, Britt. Here I am with like wine.
I got water.
You could have said it was vodka. We would have known. We would have known.
Yeah, a full bottle of vodka.
Now you know.
Well, I'm going to need you to cut these healthy people out of here. We can't have water. We can't have celery juice on here.
Right. It's Friday, y'all.
My bad, y'all. Take that one.
All right, guys. Well, as I mentioned before, we're talking about Lamelo Ball and why an NBL analyst thinks he's perfect for the Knicks. We're talking about Mike Tyson and the reason he says he lost a lot of money. I'm very, very confused by this story. And then, of course, Forbes' list of the highest paid athletes. What's coming up in the post-up, Chris?
We actually have some really good responses following the death of George Floyd from some celebrities. We have a really interesting response from Dez Bryant on other things about racism. We'll talk about that. DeAndre Hopkins out here talking that talk against my boy can't guard Mike. I actually kind of agree with some of the things DeAndre Hopkins says. We'll talk about that. And I got a dad throwing bricks at his son. Stay tuned.
Okay, casual, no big deal. What's going on for WPF?
We got some Denver shade heading the Chargers' way, which I personally love, and also a conspiracy theory regarding Zion, which I think I'm going to love to hear you guys' response on this one.
No boy.
Okay, and then Britt, I know you haven't been wanting to give any hints for the Fumble fam about what's coming up for Britt's takes, but do you want to let us know what's going on for today?
I don't know. Let me see if somebody wants to entice me to say something. Yep. Nope.
Come on, guys. Come on.
I'm not seeing anything that excites me in the comments, so no, I'm okay.
All right.
Can we real quick, though, before we dive in, I saw a couple people in there and their age. Can we just say congratulations to all the graduates who didn't get to have a real graduation? I saw Austin graduated. There's a couple other people. So congratulations. Yeah.
Oh, what?
What's the graduation song?
Yeah, that one. Do it again.
This is me walking to get my diploma. Now you know why I tripped when I was getting my diploma.
All right, you guys, thank you for that beautiful rendition of the graduation song, Britt. I've been moved to tears. And now let's all just do a quick toast to the weekend before we jump into need to know news, you guys. Cheers to the freaking weekend.
Yeah, dude, straight vodka, bros. Yeah, dude. Oh, shoot, man.
I swear you are the king of the accents. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Oh, my gosh, dude. All right,
such a faker.
Chris, you got that out of your system because I'm going into a news story that I think you're going to like.
Oh, boy. Okay.
All right. So NBL analyst Corey Williams discussed LaMelo's style of play and explained why he thinks that the youngest Ball brother is actually perfect for the Knicks. So initially, Corey didn't think that LaMelo's time in the NBL would work out very well. He had very, very low expectations for him. He said, quote, "I was not a believer. As a New Yorker, we don't believe in highlights. We don't care who you are, where you're from, or what walk of life. prove it to us. If we don't see it, we don't believe it. He also says that he was, and this is something that we've talked about a lot here on the Fumble Live, he was very turned off by LeVar because he, quote, talks too much and it became distasteful. He says that he understands being supportive of your kids, as we all do. We've all made that abundantly clear on here. But he says at some point, quote, you've got to turn the ish off and let the kids play. But Corey did end up taking a liking to Lamelo after he played in a game against the Perth Wildcats. He was going up against Damian Martin, a 6-time NBL Defensive Player of the Year. And he said, quote, any import point guard who thinks they're good, all we say is this, let's see what he does against Perth and Damian Martin. They're physical, they play extremely hard, and they're picking you up full court. But Damian Martin couldn't do anything with Lamelo. They began doubling him, getting the ball out of his hand. I've never seen that ever. So now Corey thinks, and this is his direct quote, this kid's got New York written all over him. It wouldn't be nothing he couldn't handle. He's always been in the spotlight. He's famous like a Kardashian, but he actually has talent. So he threw a little shade at the Kardashians there. So, Chris,
like it.
Yeah, good move. So, Chris, I know you're in support of Lamelo going to the Knicks, but what are some flaws that you see in his game that could actually affect how he plays over there?
I think it's the flaws that we all see. I mean, I don't think anything that people are, I mean, I don't know why they're worried about it, but people were worrying that, oh, New York will kill him. Man, he's been in the spotlight since he was 14 years old in LA. Big, what's it called? A lot of people, a lot of lights out here too his entire life. Yeah, exactly. So it's nothing new to him. I'm not really worried about that. I think my worries come more on the basketball side, and I'm just worries that I think comes with anybody who is, as young as him. Barely, we learned that he's only played like official, like basketball up until when he's played for Spire. That was like the first time he's like gone through drills where he's playing defense and learning actually how to play defense the right way and stuff like that. So look, the only thing I'm worried about that kid is his defensive side. But as far as like the outside stuff, man, I think he will fit in just fine with New York. And also shout out to Corey Homicide Williams, because he is also from New York. He's a New York product. So he's out there trying to speak the good word of, as LeVar would say, speak it into existence. So shout out to you, Corey. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm just hoping that he comes to New York. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm ready to cry after the draft, but I'm praying and hoping that he comes to the Knicks.
Well, we'll see what happens. Jackie, do you have any doubts about LaMelo's readiness for the NBA, or do you think that he has what it takes?
I think he's just as ready as any other rookie coming into the NBA. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a learning time for anyone. But he definitely has the upper hand because he has a brother that's already in it. He has a dad that's talked so much stuff that he has to get ready because you don't want to flop. So, I mean, yeah, I think wherever he goes, he'll be decent. And I think he'll grow into being really good or maybe even great. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I don't think he's like in any more behind the curve than any other rookie coming into the league. I think he'll be fine. And I actually think he has, more of a leg up than most rookies do. But yeah, I think he'll be fine wherever he goes. Yeah. I don't know if he would want to go to the Knicks, but I think I don't know if anybody wants to go to the Knicks. I think they end up on the Knicks.
That's fine.
But
didn't he put his players in 2K in Knicks jerseys? Wasn't
he did quite a few things, but it's okay. No. He doesn't want to be a Knicks. That's fine.
It's just the colors. It's the colors. It's not the team. It's the colors. Everybody got a favorite color, Chris. That's it.
Oh my God.
So, okay, Britt, I want to ask you, do you feel that LaMelo's time in the professional league in Australia does give him a leg up, like what Jackie said? Do you think that he is going to do better than people coming right out of college?
I don't think any time in Australia is going to do that. I think just like Jackie was saying, his brother being there to like kind of guide him and him just being in the limelight in Los Angeles, like Chris had said. But I don't think Australia did that because I feel like the kids that play in the NCAA and experience college basketball at big colleges, I think they are actually more in the limelight than LaMelo was being in Australia. So I don't think that Australia had anything to do with it. I don't think that helped him at all. I think there's more competition playing in the NCAA than playing in Australia. Like, obviously I'm a big proponent of like not being for the NCAA and players doing stuff elsewhere. But as of right now, the NCAA has the most talent 4 players. So those kids are playing against better talent in the NCAA than he was playing against, and they're in a bigger spotlight than he was in Australia. So I don't think that helped him or did anything, but just him having a brother and then his experience of being in Los Angeles and, doing all that kind of stuff, I think is what mostly is preparing him.
Got it. Okay, you guys, let's move on to our next need to know news story. And this one I honestly feels like needs to be a WTF moment, but we're putting it here. I don't even really understand what's going on, but Mike Tyson blames women for all of his financial issues. Cool. Okay.
This makes perfect sense to me.
I was gonna say, me too.
I'll tell you the part that doesn't make sense to me here. Okay. I'm gonna point it out when I go through it. So Mike Tyson revealed that he was too tired to go to the gym during his jail sentence in the 1990s because he was having too much sex. So he served 3 years of prison time after being convicted of rape. And he said, I was having so much sex that I was too tired to even go to the gym to work out. I would just stay in my cell all day. This is the part I don't understand. He was having too much sex while he was in jail, or am I misunderstanding something here?
That's definitely how it's worded.
So,
let's move on. What's the next point in this story? What's the next point?
Okay, so he said he served 3 years, so in his autobiography, he said, you can't be having B words around like you do when you were young. They F up money. I didn't know that. They were fun then, but when you're older, they ain't fun no more. Effing all day ain't fun no more. You want some effing money, you know what I mean? And then he said that he was handing out money to everybody and having orgies with women and their mothers, sisters, cousins. Says he also bought a lot of that he was doing. And then now
not the mom too. No, it's too much.
This is the part that I like about this story. He says he switched to a vegan lifestyle and feels better than ever. He wants to take his money now and, quote, help these homeless, and we're going to help these addicted brothers because I've been homeless and I've been addicted, so I know the struggle. Not many people have survived like I did. Okay, so Britt, I want to start off with you. How do you feel about Mike Tyson saying that women are the reason he lost so much money?
That makes perfect sense to me. I mean, all the athletes that we see now literally, lose so much money trying to impress women, getting all these cars, buying women cars, purses, shoes, going to clubs, spending all this money on bottle service and whatever the case is. It makes perfect sense. Like guys, and really I think it's what guys should do. Like guys don't care if they didn't worry about girls. They would literally dress in sweats all day and sit in front of the TV and scratch their balls. But because they're wanting women, that's why they dress nice. That's why they get lineups and do all of this kind of stuff. It's all for women. And so it makes sense that once you have money and you look like Mike Tyson, you got to impress women how you impress them, like you look like Mike and you talk like Mike. So the only thing you got going for you is your money. So he had to use his money to get what he wanted. It's pretty simple to me.
Well, it worked, and he had fun doing it, apparently, but I guess now he's looking back and regrets it. Jackie, I want to hear your opinion on all of this.
I want to ask Chris first. Is that why you haven't got a lineup in a while? Is because you all comfortable and you ain't got to impress girls no more?
I'm like, they're not going to turn this around on me. When Britt said that too, I'm like, oh, here they come. Somebody is going to turn this around. Look,
am I right or am I right? Come on.
No, 100%. I got homies that are, yes, that's the only reasons why they're spending $40 for a $20 haircut, because they feel like they don't spend the extra $20 to get a better looking haircut so they can impress a girl that's not going to be impressed by them. So 100% you're right. But yes, in a situation like myself, Jackie, yes, I am in a happy situation. So I get that extra few days to get my hairline fixed up. All right. Okay. Leave me alone.
All right. Okay, I'm back to the question. What was the question again?
I just Chris, we're very happy for your stable, loving relationship.
Yes. Thank you.
And Jackie,
I think she would like to see you with the lineup, though. Just because you got in a relationship, don't get comfortable. She wants to see you.
I understand. You are 100% correct. God, Mike, how did this come back to me? Mike Tyson.
Guys, there's a comment comments in here from Dr. Pepsi that says Chris is going to turn into Westbrook. Y'all better leave his hair alone.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right.
So mad.
I am standing down. I am standing down right now.
Okay, I'm just gonna be like Eddie Murphy. Yes, F you too.
Yeah.
Right.
We're coming to make me, yes.
That's what I'm gonna say back to Chris.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Devin. We got off track. What was your question?
Just tell me your opinion on Mike Tyson's revelation that women are the reason he lost so much money.
Absolutely right. We say this all the time. Michael Jordan paid his ex-wife millions so she'd go away. I don't know how much Scottie Pippen dished out. I call them anchor babies. A lot of these gold diggers out here trying to anchor this baby into some money so they can get paid. It's not a new trick. It's just typical. My dad used to say that the oldest profession in the world is prostitution, but you're not paying her for sex. You're paying her to leave with a standard fee. So, I mean, if next time, I'm just saying.
Well, since we're talking about money, let's move into the third need to know news story. This is the list of the highest paid athletes according to Forbes. So Roger Federer sits at number 1. He's earning $106.3 million per year. We have Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Neymar. Those are the top 4. Then we've got LeBron sitting there at the 5th spot at $88.2 million. Steph's right behind him with a salary of $74.4 million. Then there's KD bringing in just under $64 million. And then the final 3 spots go to Tiger Woods, Kirk Cousins, and Carson Wentz. So I don't really have any specific questions about this. I just thought it was interesting to share.
Obviously, I have a question.
What's your question?
What in the hell is Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz doing
on this list?
10 highest paid athletes? And then y'all want to talk about Dak Prescott is not right for asking that much money and all these guys are tripping out. The 2 highest paid NFL players right now? Kirk Cousins? You like that? You like that?
You like that?
That's him.
And Carson Wentz, who has never won an NFL playoff game in his whole entire life, that guy? I'm sorry. I got questions. I don't understand how this happens, and I better not hear nobody complain about another NFL player asking for too much money, because right now, if those are the 2 highest paid NFL players, we have a problem. We got a few problems. And I got a few questions about that.
I totally agree. It skews the market when you don't have to win something to get that kind of money. It skews the market. It's horrible.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm not Dallas mad, but yeah.
A backup quarterback, and you're getting that kind of money.
So, Britt, which NFL players would you replace Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz with on this list if it was up to you?
About 45% of the rosters on all the teams. They're literally middle of the totem pole here. There are tons of athletes. If you want to talk about quarterbacks alone, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, even though I don't like the guy, Cam Newton, even though he should have gotten.
All right, hold on now. You're saying a lot of names before a certain name there.
And I heard Drew Brees.
My goodness.
Drew Brees, because I thought y'all were going to cover Drew Brees. Drew Brees, my guy.
I mean, you was on the rant. It was your rant.
You were killing the rant. Well, I'm not going to step in your rant.
Don't just X us out because you on the rant.
I was still good.
All right.
Y'all didn't let me finish.
All right. Okay.
Y'all didn't let me finish or what?
My feelings were
go
starting to
ahead.
hurt, boy. All right.
Pretty much almost every single quarterback in the league, plus a bunch of, I think there's a lot of receivers that should be higher paid. There's some running backs that should be higher paid. What? Derrick Henry should be higher paid. What are you guys what are you even talking about? That is crazy. The most craziest thing. And then for them to even be really, there was only one NBA player on that list. And then you go down, and I get the soccer players. Yes, they make money. It was funny that there was not one single female on the list. The highest paid was Naomi, who had $32 million last year, and she's technically the bottom half of what the men's were. But
Yeah.
literally, like that whole entire, I get the soccer, tennis, whatever, and then golf with Tiger Woods. But other than that, to have like one NBA player and then you have two football players
Right.
that are like very mediocre football players, like, oh, child. I need to switch my celery juice out for something else.
Look, I'm gonna switch
Okay,
my
go ahead.
celery, my alcoholic celery juice. That's what I'm gonna do.
Join us. Go get yourself a drink. Let's just have a drunk Fumble live today. I think that's what we need.
Hey, so then we can
Hey,
fumble
so
around. You
drunk.
see what we did there? Boom, boom.
What was that, Britt?
Said whoever paid those guys that money was drunk.
Yeah.
Looking at you,
All right.
Minnesota.
That wraps up
Definitely.
Need to Know news,
Really?
you guys. Chris, take us into that post up.
Yes. Time to post up with your boy Chris. Now, I feel a little bad going to this first one because the man we're talking about just got ridiculed for being paid as much as he's being paid. But Carson Wentz, I don't know if you left yet, but Carson Wentz, can you come back real quick? Because I got some good things to say to you, Carson Wentz. Going back to what we were just talking about, I'm sorry, I am on Britt's side. You are getting paid quite a lot for not doing so much and being hurt a little bit more than you actually been playing. But outside of that, what you said yesterday, as far as everything that's been going on right now, as far as the protests and stuff going on in Minnesota, I actually liked your sentiment and liked your take on what's going on. Actually, a lot of people liked your take. People from New York, because I got a lot of people from New York that follow me over on my social media, and I'm seeing them, the ones that are retweeting and stuff. And you're a Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback, so that's pretty cool that you're getting. But like then, I think it's deserved. It was a good take. It was a good response, and it was good use of your platform. Although you are not a brother. So what he's put up, and I thought was really well put, he put, been thinking about the George Floyd situation and thinking of words to say and coming up empty. All I know is that the institutional, racism is in this country breaks my heart and needs to stop. Can't even fathom what the Black community has to endure on a daily basis. Being from North Dakota, I've spent a large part of my life surrounded by people of similar colors. So I'm never going to act like I know what the Black community goes through or even has gone through already. I'll never know the feeling of having to worry about my kids going outside because of their skin color. However, I do know that we are all equal at the foot of the cross, and Jesus taught us to value others. I love that. Taught us, to value others. Lives like they were our own, regardless of skin tone. So this might seem like a ramble, and perhaps it is. I don't understand the society we live in that doesn't value all human life. It's heartbreaking and disturbing. My prayers go out to every man, woman, and child that has to endure the effects of racism in our society. And I thought that was great. It was well put. It wasn't him trying to overstep and try to, feel like he's, being like one of us and has to speak for us. He was just speaking his truth and speaking how he feels the situation. I thought that was it was a great statement personally, and I applaud it. I thought it was well put. And I do believe that it is important for him to speak up. For literally I feel like anybody saying something against the situation right now, especially somebody with the platform like that. He's a starting quarterback. I know we go back and forth, but I mean, he's one of the highest paid players in the NFL, and for him to, say this and speak out like this, I feel like it is important, just as important. So I appreciate that. Just quickly before we go into the next one, because we have another statement from somebody else. Brett, I just want to know how you felt about, or how you think this statement from Carson Wentz was, or what you think about it.
I think it was good, and obviously it's good to know there's been a change in Philly, because Philly didn't have a very good rep a few years ago when Riley Cooper decided to do what he did and say what he said. So, and then obviously Chip Kelly was the coach at that time and didn't really do anything about it. So that locker room was very toxic. But then to have Carson Wentz come in and as the leader of the team say what he said, knowing that, 80% of his teammates are African American, I think was a smart thing to do and a good thing to do. I don't think I've ever really heard anything about him being negative or bad energy with his teammates or whatever. And it's reasons like this, because he can be empathetic in a situation without kind of bringing it to himself, or like, you know, playing like, oh, well, I'm one of the good guys. No, like, which you'll talk about later, because I watched all those tweets last night and I sent them for the Dez Bryant thing. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but yeah, I like the way he just, you know, he wasn't trying to like act like he's, oh yeah, I'm so down or whatever. He's like, this is what I know. I wasn't really around this, so I'm gonna go off your guys' lead, and I don't understand, but I hear you, I see you, and I think that was really important.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And yeah, like you said, well put. And keeping on that same energy, we had a different take, but it was still a similar take. Meyers Leonard, who is known to be, they call him the Hammer. I didn't know that he had that nickname. I think it's a dope nickname. If you look at him, the dude is pretty much all upper body, looking like a white Dwight Howard kind of thing. You know, Dwight Howard just like all muscles, so they call him the Hammer. But he's a guy that's, you know, very outspoken, not when it comes to things like this, but he has opinions on a lot of things. And I feel like his tweet, I mean, it was a little bit more raw and a little bit more like, you know, dude kind of thing. But at the same time, I feel like it still hit the nail on the head with what he said. He said, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I've become at times embarrassed to be a white privileged male in this country. The bull hatred and racism has got to stop. I just don't understand. I was raised to love all people. Rest in peace, George Floyd and many others. Hashtag I've had enough. And like I said, it wasn't much. It wasn't anything, you know, poetic or stuff like that. It was to the point, and you know, he's acknowledged, you know, his stature and where he, you know, stands on the totem pole right there. And I think he did a good job saying what he had to say in the way that he says it. And shout out to Meyers Leonard too to step on that. Now we're going to move over to a different take. It has nothing to do with well, kind of does. Dez Bryant. We've talked about, we like Dez Bryant on the show. We're fans of Dez Bryant. He had a take that not a lot of people agreed with. I'm curious to hear what you guys are gonna have to say, but I want to read what he said. He tweeted, and I want to read the responses and what he had to say to some of these responses. So he tweeted this yesterday. It was a photo that said, I never let racist white people make me forget about the dope white people that I know exist. I love y'all. Again, pause for effect. That's Dez Bryant. That's how he feels about it. And a lot of people didn't like it. And the thing was, and a lot like what we said with Michael Porter Jr., he's standing, he's staying firm with what he posted and staying firm with his belief in this tweet, because he had some responses and he fought back. So one of them comes from this guy who said, trying to make a joke of it, saying, NFL still not signing you, my G, hang it up. And Dez said, scratch my G. Just know I had several opportunities to play and I chose not to play. ... My choice. We had another one saying, like, he could have kept that thought to himself. And then he responded saying, you didn't have to read it. This how I feel. I don't care if you don't like it neither. To do all this talking, I bet neither one of y'all who got something to say don't do anything to better y'all community. I do. I just did, and I'm back at it next week. Cool. Now, this one was just for me because I saw this and I want to know what this person said to you to get a response like this. So this one was my favorite one. And can we put that one up there, Leo? He said, a hoe. Now we even. I want to know what was said to get a response like that, because that was pretty left field. He said, and a lot of responses were laughing at that one. I don't know what was said to him to have a response like that. So I just want to throw that one in there. But yes, Britt, I know you're ready, but I want to start with Jackie real quick. I want to just on the initial post that he put up. Was it disjointed? Was it another situation? The timing? How did you feel about that initial post by Dez Bryant?
Dez Bryant is one of those guys that you just kind of want him to sit there and look pretty. You just don't talk, because this is not the first time he said something slightly oblivious. And I don't want to misquote it, so I'm just going to paraphrase it. There was a time when you know, racism, because it comes up. We live in America. It comes up all the time. Was talking about racism, and Dez was like, "Oh no, I haven't really experienced racism. How, you black as hell. There's no way in hell you ain't experienced no damn racism." And I feel like every time he has a chance to jump on a yes or no, boss, he takes it, and I hate it about him. And he's one of my favorite receivers, so it's difficult for me to have this like different opinions about him. But he every chance he gets to kind of shuck and jive, he takes it. and it's ridiculous. He doesn't have to. It's like, we don't know that there's good white people in the world. That's not the thing. But see, what he's failing to miss is like people like me. I'm struggling with all of these great comments that are coming from white folks because, I mean, we've been dealing with this since I was a child. And I am just now seeing these comments. So now I'm like, well, where the hell was y'all when? You know what I mean? So, no, yeah, okay, credit. But my guy, shut up. You know?
Yeah, not the time. Timing again.
That's where I'm at.
All right, Britt, same question to you. Thought on the post by Dez Bryant.
So I had actually sent this to our producer last night because I was up last night, couldn't sleep again. And he was going in for hours and hours. This was going on till like 2, 3, and he's in like what is it, Dallas or whatever right now. So that's even later. It was probably like 4 a.m. for him, and he was going back and forth with people. What I wanted to take most from this is like, at this point, any white person that is actually understanding of what's going on and is a dope white person and, you know, has been posting and has whatever, they don't need to be coddled right now. That they know that it's not about them right now. So you don't have to tell them that they are dope and we still love y'all, because they know it's not about, they don't feel that way right now. Anybody who actually like really is about this and really like understands and is trying to be empathetic and really is there to help with the fight and stuff like that, they don't care about that right now. They aren't even thinking that. Anybody who is that like, well, you know what, guys, I'm a good white person, then you probably aren't that good of a white person. If you feel like that right now and you're worried about your personal feelings and how you feel yourself, like that is like hands down number one. Like even just seeing stuff like, I actually had lost a friend yesterday because she was posting a bunch of stuff just about like, well, see guys, not all cops are bad. These are good cops and blah, blah, blah. And she's like listing all these things. Nobody said every single cop was bad, first of all. But second of all, this is not the time to post about that, because she didn't post not one thing about George Floyd at all. So it's like, you want to enter a conversation and then this is the only thing you're going to say in the conversation. I get it if her dude is a police officer or whatever. I get it if you are on that side. He's a black police officer at that. I get it if on that side you feel some type of way, but to not mention it over here is like the problem, you know? Right. And I feel like anybody who is a good person and is whatever, they don't need to be told that right now. Like it's just, nobody feels like that. So I just thought it was crazy that you even felt like you had to say something like that, because those people don't care. I don't know if you have a white friend that felt some type of way and you're just like, oh, I should say I love you. That's not really a friend that really believes what they're saying they're believing. They're just maybe doing a post because they see everybody else posting, and so they're gonna like, they don't want to be that white person that doesn't post. But if anybody who really truly believes in what they're saying does not need that moment where they need to feel praised in this situation. This is not time to praise anybody. You being a basic human being and caring about basic human beings' lives is not anything to be clapped about. Like that's what you should be doing anyway, period, point blank. Like that's not being a good person, that's being a human being and believing in humanity and equality. That's the basic, simple stuff we should be doing right now. Like, it's no pat on the back for anybody, period.
Right.
That's why I agree with that first tweet. That first tweet, I think, nailed it.
That was like, the majority of the tweet.
Back in the league,
right?
Guy.
No, that was because exactly.
We just had the league try to institute some, hey, we know you guys have racist tendencies. Can you please not? We'll give you 3rd round draft picks. So there is definitely a racist overtone in the NFL. And Dez was like, hey, I know you guys are okay. It's fine with me. It's just shut up, please. Just sit in the corner and be cute. Please.
Yeah, timing is everything. Yeah, 100%. I'm not gonna applaud you if you've been walking your entire life and you're walking again the next day. It's just like Britt said, it's something that we should be doing as human beings. And this is not the time to be coddling people like that. Yeah, well put by both of you guys. Now again, I don't want to
be. I still want him to get signed with the Cowboys.
Yeah. That doesn't take away from that. No, don't take away from that. Yeah, no. Right. Moving on to this next one. This was actually some pretty cool news. Going back to the big Rona going on out there, where there's lots of people and organizations and stuff like that are not being paid and stuff like that. And it looks like David Price, who is one of the newer Dodgers that was acquired via trade, who is out here, hasn't even played a game yet. And he's out here giving money to players in the Dodgers minor league team, which is, to me, I mean, it's like cool and everything, but like, yo, you just got, how you gonna know you gonna like the team? You throwing all that money? But at the same time, it's a really dope. On the other hand, it's a really dope thing to do. The tweet actually said this. It said, sources, David Price will pay out of his money, $1,000 during the month of June to each minor league player in Dodger system, 40-man roster not included. According to multiple sources, beautiful act. If we count that Price hasn't played yet in Major League Baseball with the Dodgers, respect. Like, that is huge. That is really huge. And I think it definitely is the right thing to do. I think it's something a lot of people probably wouldn't have done because they, like I said, the situation is weird. But the thing is, when these guys are not getting paid, they're unfortunately trying to get up to where you are at. And for him to have a gesture like that, especially since his contract is pretty nice, I think it's a dope gesture. Something I just did not see coming. So shout out to him. Yeah. Rona's still happening out there, so to see something like that is pretty cool. Going now to get a little lighthearted for my last two, going over to DeAndre Hopkins. Now, before I talk to you, Mr. Hopkins of the Arizona Cardinals, that's right. I just remembered that you were traded like 5 seconds ago. Michael Thomas, can't guard Mike, has been chirping, and as he should be. He's been out here talking about he's the best wide receiver in the game, talking all his crap, as he should be. I am with number 13. That my number 13, not the number 13 in Cleveland, Jackie's favorite player. Mm-hmm. I'm with them. I wholeheartedly believe that he is definitely up there. He is in the top 3 for me. I would put him at number 1 because he wears my Saints jersey. But even if he wasn't a Saint, he's for sure top 3 for me. But DeAndre Hopkins is out here making a case for himself, talking about that he is the best receiver in the game. And first of all, I just also want to say, like, yo, if you're asked that question, if you're not responding with me, I don't know how I really feel about your confidence or how I feel about how good you actually are if you don't feel confident in yourself. So I expect all these guys like the Julio Joneses, Odells, the Michael Thomas, I expect them all to say themselves. But I like DeAndre Hopkins' reasoning because he ain't completely wrong. If we can run that video, please, Leo.
Mike, my boy, I love Mike. We was texting yesterday, but he know if I had Drew Brees my whole career,
all caps,
what these numbers would be. Julio Jones know if I had Matt Ryan my whole career. That's my boy. I train with Julio too. He know what these numbers would be. So
okay. That Matt Ryan part was just a throw in. Look, I'm sorry. I will not stand here and coddle Matt Ryan. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of that ugly bird team. But he has a point. And the thing for me is I feel like this was more, and it should be, was more of a shot at the Texans because, I mean, it was only up until recently when they had Deshaun Watson. Because remember the quarterbacks that they had before Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. Do you remember them? I don't. I remember.
I think Brian Hoyer was there for like a second.
Brian Hoyer.
If he was, I just remember him being on the floor a lot. He was sacked a lot of times. The only reason why I remember Tom Savage is because he eventually made his way to the Saints and he was one of our backups. Mm-hmm. But other than that, Hopkins is right. He hasn't had anybody. So I didn't even take this as shade to Mike Thomas. This is more shade of the organization, and it's shade that is deserved because that Texans organization is just I've questioned that organization for years, and this trade, we talked about it, did not help that case. So but going back to the receiver battle real quick before we move on, I just have to know, I'm very curious, do you think that DeAndre, all these everything's DeAndre Hopkins is in fact the best receiver? And let me start with you, Jackie. Do you think so?
The best receiver over Mike? What kind of question is this? This is ridiculous.
That's my Dwayne Wade to LeBron pass. I was making sure.
It's cool. I respect him for thinking that, but we got the best receiver in the league. Look at the numbers. I don't give a damn who throwing to you. Check the numbers. Who that got it? Let's move on.
But I know it says cocky DeAndre. I don't think it's cocky. I think he's speaking facts. I think he's definitely up there even. Exactly. And even with the situations he was put in, especially when he finally got Deshaun Watson, I think it's no question he's definitely, for me, he's in my top 3. I'm sorry. I know I do like Beckham. People think I talk trash. I don't hate OBJ. I just feel like DeAndre Hopkins is just a better overall receiver, and I feel like I'll put him at 3.
You think he's better than Odell?
I do. I personally do. I'm putting Mike Thomas, Julio Jones, and I'm putting DeAndre Hopkins. I just said it. That's my 3, and then I'll put Odell.
And then so Odell's 4th.
Odell 4.
I'm not mad at that. As long as he's top 5, we cool. As long as he's top 5.
This is a conversation for another day. I'm taking up everybody's time. It's all right. Last but not least, we got one more because I said it, I teased it, and you guys are probably sitting there like, the hell is he talking about? You mean a dad's throwing bricks at his kids? Well, I meant what I said. If you guys watched the movie Dodgeball, there was a quote that was said in Dodgeball, and it's going to be in this tweet. It said, if you can't dodge a brick, then you can't dodge a ball. And well, this dad took that pretty serious because he's out here throwing bricks at his son. Here's the video. Look at Junior. Look at the reflexes. Look at him go. Look at him.
Oh,
Look at the reflexes. Go ahead, kid. Whoa.
Okay, that was a little close.
It's okay. He's doing fine. Look, he did great. Look at this. Oh, now he's getting cocky with the cartwheels.
throwing it like between his legs.
Yeah, right. He's right. Cocky. Now, guys, don't worry. If you couldn't tell, those were fake bricks. Like those bricks are not hitting that net that lightly. Those were all fake little foam bricks. Nothing. Look, you can look at it right there. They're fake. Nothing. He was not in danger. His dad was just making a meme of that quote from Dodgeball. I thought it was pretty well done. I ain't gonna lie to you. The first time I saw this, I'm just like, I'm a producer. I'm like, you want me to talk about it?
Real. That's like, oh my God, where's child services?
I was like, I cannot put this on post up. Are you kidding me with this? And then I realized, yeah, no, those are fake. Yeah, that's hilarious.
I literally in my head, I was like, totally something I would do.
with foam bricks or real bricks? No, Britt, I need clarification. I need clarification. Why?
Because that's a fake brick. That's like a participation trophy to me, you know? Like, that's real stuff, you know?
Oh my God.
With no fear, because you know it's not going to hurt you, you know? Like, if you're going to do it, you better do it. My kids.
Can we get child services on standby for Britt? Child services on standby for Britt.
I'll tell you what, Britt will not be sitting there doing cartwheels.
It's okay, Jack. We have child services for me, and we have the police on standby for whenever you commit these murders.
Murder, yes.
Fact. But no, that's inaccurate because I've been planning them so long that it's going to be on Unsolved Mysteries. You guys can speculate that it was me, but you will never know for sure.
I can't wait to see the sketch of what people thought Jackie looked like.
Yep, all that.
Oh, that's it for me.
Okay, you guys, Jackie, I feel like we've talked about a lot of bizarre stuff in today's live show, but I know you have more coming up for us in WTF, so take it away.
Yes, I'm going to zoom through some of these, but let's get to these WTF moments because I have been to a lot of Chargers games. I used to go up to San Diego and I would watch when the Cowboys would come. I'm from Denver, so you guys know I was up there when Denver was there. And let me tell you, it always was a sea of blue or a sea of orange. It was never home field advantage for the Chargers. So even though I am a Saints fan, y'all know I got love for the Broncos and the Mile High City. So yes, who dat? So big fan of Melvin Gordon, and I was excited for him to actually go to Mile High and really get a feel for what real fans do for their team. But now, of course, the coronavirus has limited that. So now we're asking him, hey, how do you feel about going into a stadium and there's potentially going to be no fans? So Leo, if you can roll that clip so we can get his answer. Because he's throwing a little bit of shade at the Charger fans. Not a lot, because it's factual, but there is some.
Could you imagine playing in a football game with no fans or there being crowd noise pumped into the stadium?
Bro, we didn't have fans anyway.
Oh my God.
We didn't have
not wrong.
He's not wrong, though. He is not wrong. And that was the funniest thing about this whole thing. So I was scrolling through the Twitter feed because I was like, I expected to see a lot of Janet Jackson memes of like, he not wrong, no. But no, Charger fans were upset. This one's like, I can't wait for Bosa, Ingram, Murray, and James to drop this fool. And then Derek was like, you realize Joey Bosa said the same thing, right? And then this next user, this is a long ass tweet. She was like, let me refresh your memory. No fans, yet you begged us on December 29th to tell the Chargers to keep you. Bummer, I can't find the video, but here, this might refresh your memory. No offense, I get the trash talk and need for hype, but don't take it against the fans. It's not cool. And then this Joshua responds with, all people from San Diego, and it looks like there's 22 of you out there. Like he said, no fans in LA.
Yo.
So real. It is so real.
As the resident Charger fan here on the live, I feel the need to say I am not offended by this. It's very accurate. Unfortunately, I'm one of the 11 fans that exist in Los Angeles, and that's only because I grew up in San Diego. So I'm not mad about this. He's not wrong.
So here's the question, Devin. Do you personally know these other 11 fans, or are they just like distant memories of people you've seen walking by?
Let's see. My mom, my dad, my aunt.
So her family is the Chargers fan.
Right, yeah. So you know 3 of them. All right, well, we know that there's not that many of them because they couldn't even get the whole screen filled up during the draft. So I don't know why y'all out here mad now.
They should have called me. I would have done that. I would have filled one of those squares so we would have looked a little bit less pathetic. I would have done that.
A little bit. All right, so let's get into this next one because this is the one that I told you was going to raise a few eyebrows because now we have a conspiracy theory regarding Zion that I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibilities. But ESPN Brian Windhorst, he said on Friday on Get Up, one of the things I've been hearing as I've talked to people in this league is the league is going to set the playoffs up to make sure Zion Williamson is involved. Paranoia is at the top of the list with anything in the NBA. They always are paranoid about everything. The league is screwing me. They're helping this guy, blah, blah, blah. In this case, there's a number of different reasons why the league would want to have 20 to 24 teams, a number of different reasons to get extra games. But most of those scenarios include making sure having Zion Williamson in the preseason. This isn't crazy to me because it seems right. The Pelicans have struggled to keep a big name there. Their viewership has dropped. But the day in January when Zionson did his debut, his followers on all social media doubled by 40,000 followers. Ticket sales went up, and it was the highest watched game of the season to that point. So if it's good for a certain team, it's good for the league, obviously, because we're talking about revenues. So to me, this is not beyond the realm of possibilities. It makes sense. We just saw The Last Dance talk about Chicago and how that whole entire franchise was failing, and then Jordan came in, and then the league, not just the team, rallied around Jordan to make sure that he was successful. So I don't think this is outside the realm of possibilities. But Chris, do you think that this is just a conspiracy theory, or do you think that there's some merit to the thinking that, hey, the league is trying to make sure Zion is in the playoffs?
Nah, I'm all in on that. I'm buying that 100%. I definitely believe that they're gonna try because like he said, a lot of these scenarios that got a lot of people scratching their head, like, why are we even thinking of these scenarios? A lot of them focus around trying to get that team into the playoffs, whether it's a play-in tournament, whether they add more players to the playoff or add more teams to the playoffs. A lot of them include the Pelicans, who are right there to get in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's definitely something that they're trying to consider because they're trying to get anything that they can to help boost sales, knowing that there's going to be nobody in stands. So,
right,
or
you gotta do. It is not outside the realm of possibilities for me, and I wouldn't be mad at it. You know, that was a thing that I wanted to see. I wanted to see that late push by the Pelicans to see if they could. So, if they have an opportunity to do that, I'm not mad at it. But that's me personally. You guys in the chat, let us know what you think. But right now, I need Chris to sit up straight, warm up them vocal cords, because it is time for Britt's takes.
Britt's takes.
So we actually have a funny new thing that we're gonna do
on
the weekend time, so make sure you guys check it out. But I have a new social distancing dance. I would like to preview that here first. Can I get a screenshot, a split with me and Jackie, because I taught Jackie the dance.
Yes.
Leo, really quick.
My entire life already.
The new social distancing dance brought to you by Britt Johnson featuring Jackie Ray. Whenever she can
come on, Leo. I'm ready.
Ready? And then you got to go out wider. You can start in like you were going to clap, but then you got to go out. Yes. Yes. Because we got to get to 6 feet. Yes. So that will be
Rich changed my life, you guys.
Of that. Yes. Jackie already did that to somebody after our Weekend Zone show that we previously aired. Which film that will air tomorrow. But you're welcome, you guys. I just want to teach you guys a new dance. That is my take for today. I am done. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
But this whole take has to do with kind of social distancing. So starting today, actually, all of Texas, excluding 5 counties in Texas, will be allowed to host fans in outdoor arenas for pro sports only. Now, fans are still banned from attending indoor sporting events, so this is not going to benefit the Spurs or the Mavs or the Rockets at this point. But and high school and college games were actually not addressed when this whole thing came about, but they did suggest that come fall, they do see a scenario where football fans for college will have fans in the stands. But right now, for pro, this is happening, and it's going to happen at 25%. Whatever the stadium capacity is, they can have people go at 25%, technically starting today. So I thought it was interesting because Texas has actually increased their number of coronavirus cases. 7,500 this week alone, almost 2,000 yesterday, which was actually the highest number they've had thus far. And then they also had 39 deaths yesterday. So I thought it was interesting that they decided to open stadiums to fans, considering their numbers have done nothing but go up drastically since in the last week alone. The interesting thing about this, though, is yes, I think that, the governor is whatever. He can say he wants to open stuff or whatever. But I think everything still needs to lay on the leagues themselves. So Texas, actually, there's 2 things that have to happen. So one is the arenas or whatever stadiums have to be approved at whatever they decide to do, like whatever their protocol is going to be has to be approved by the Texas Department of State Health Services. And then the leagues also have to say what they're going to do too. So right now the NHL announced on Tuesday, I know we don't talk a lot about the NHL on this channel, but I love hockey. And on Tuesday, they actually announced their plan to restart with the playoffs for the Eastern and Western conferences being split amongst 2 cities. They haven't announced those cities yet, but they did say that is what they're going to do. It's going to be just 2 cities, and they're going to have Eastern Conference in one and Western Conference in the other. Obviously, we know the NBA has kind of had a lot of talks about what they're going to do. It's probably going to follow suit to what the NHL is going to do, and they kind of run – NHL and NBA kind of run almost on the same schedule as far as their regular season to postseason. So they've missed relatively around the same amount of games that the NBA's missed, and then their playoffs are affected the same way. So I think when NHL starts, I think NBA will just kind of follow suit. And obviously we've been talking about Orlando and then possibly Vegas being an option as well. For Texas, this really is going to impact their football. They have 2 football teams, the Texans and my Dallas Cowboys, which we all know the Dallas Cowboys are going to be in on letting this 25% come into the stadium. I think the Texans will too, because even though they both have almost dome-likes, they are retractable for both stadiums. So they are technically considered an outdoor arena. So they'll allow both of their teams to play. But really who this affects mostly right now, because football is not going to start till mid-September, is baseball. And baseball has the Rangers and the Astros. Sorry, I didn't want to remember that cheating us team. But anyways, they have those 2 teams, and they're going to be affected right now. But I think it's so easy to do in baseball is to separate people and have the fans being whatever. And I think even for the players, it's going to be probably the easiest to get around compared to football and basketball. The Miami Dolphins and the Patriots, even though they're not in the state of Texas, have said that they would like to find some way to just comply with the CDC regulations and allow fans to be played there as well. I actually think I prefer this. I know Texas has been getting a lot of backlash because they have decided to let fans in as starting today at 25%, and they've kind of been getting a lot of backlash in the last 24 hours because of it, because their numbers have been rising. But Texas is also kind of completely open. I have friends going to clubs. We saw what happened in Arizona this weekend and stuff like that. So I honestly would rather see fans sitting 6, seats apart in an open arena than crowded into a bar watching a game, because the bars are open and the restaurants are open. So if they're not at these stadiums, actually practicing social distancing, they're going to be crowded into a bar. So because these states are already open, I think this is actually a good way of doing it, because then you're going to get a bum rush of people inside closed facilities like bars and restaurants than them actually trying to go to games where there's fresh air and they're actually having to sit 6 seats or whatever the number is, depending on how big their stadium is, apart. So I kind of am like, if you're going to be open, I think this is a decent way to do it, and 25% in a stadium. You guys see Chargers games, it's even less than that. So there's going to be less fans that attend Chargers games. So my question is going to be to you, Jackie. Do you think that this is too soon for them to start letting people into outdoor stadiums? And do you think other states will follow soon?
So I am literally on the fence. You guys know I've been obsessed with this coronavirus thing, and I've literally read probably too much about it. But there is a definite disconnect. Almost every state, with the exception of Florida, and I don't know if we can really trust the numbers coming out of Florida, but every state that has reopened in some way has seen a spike in the coronavirus. They've seen a spike in the number of people hospitalized. They've seen a spike in the number of deaths. So technically, the real question is should we reopen? And from a medical standpoint, if you trust the numbers in their totality, and I understand those of you who don't, and I understand why. If you trust the numbers in their totality, the answer is no, we should not be reopening right now. But I also was reading an article this morning that said it makes sense for us to open because, and this is terrible, but this is the analogy they use, and I thought it was spot on. The only thing that the U.S. leads the world in is mass incarceration per capita, the number of citizens incarcerated per capita, mass shootings, and consumption. So that's literally the only 3 categories that we lead the world in. And when you think about that, we consume a lot. I am a true American in that aspect. I'm like, I need to consume some damn sports. So logic has kind of flown out the window for me. I'm like, look, I understand this is bad, but I don't have my basketball. At least I'm rising above. I don't have my haircut. Like, I don't have my basketball. This is not working for me. So it's a money thing. It's a consumption thing. It's a business thing. It's a revenue thing. And that drives our entire economy. We are a capitalistic society. So yes, I do think we should open to some capacity. Yes, it's terrifying to me. I love that you brought up the analogy of you would rather people go to a stadium where they are 6 to 10 feet apart versus a bar. I'm a bar chick. I would rather watch a game in a bar with my close friends and have a couple of drinks while out and then take our Uber home. But that's probably the least safest way that I could watch this game. So it's one of those things where I definitely fall on squarely in the middle of this. People who say, no, we shouldn't be open. Technically, you're exactly right. People who say, look, I can't live like this, I want to be open. I'm with you too. So
you're also right.
If we're going to push, so if we're going to push forward, I think it's just about a matter of pushing forward safely. I don't know how we do that, but I definitely don't want to be in a situation where I can't be in a bar and watch my team play, because my Sundays I'm at Q's at 8:30 a.m. and I'm watching until 9 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? So that is literally my day. So I don't want to be in a situation where you're taking that from me and I can't go to a bar and I can't go to a game. Now you're doing a lot. You know what I mean? So I get it. We have to do something.
I have a question. Well, first of all, Jackie, is it the Q's near me? Is it the one that's on the west side?
Yeah, I'm on Wilshire. So, girl, you can meet up. Hey.
Yes. So many times. That place is really neat. Okay, but my question about this whole thing is I wonder what the ticket sales are going to be like. Like, is there going to be this huge rush, this huge demand for people to get tickets, or is it going to be like, I'm a little scared, I'm a little hesitant, they're probably going to be really hard to come by?
I think the tickets will sell out. Obviously, it's only at 25%, but I think there are still going to be, that's what I was going to mention too. Like, just because they're open and things are open doesn't mean you have to go, So like people can decide to go if they want to go, and if they feel that uncomfortable in that situation, they don't have to go. But whatever the 25% is, 100% is going to be sold out, and people are probably going to start reselling the tickets online for like quadruple the price, because there are going to be a lot of people, especially in Texas. It is a huge place for football. Like, that is the capital of football, if you ever had one. And people,
Football's
I will probably
breathing.
try to buy a ticket and go to Dallas, fly there, get a hotel room just to go to a game. Like, and there's going to be Cowboys fans all over the world that are going to do the same thing, you know? So it's not going to be a situation where they're not going to sell. This is probably going to be the first time the Chargers are going to sell out. Honestly, like, this will be the first time.
10 tickets.
Oh my God. Poor Chargers, man.
100%.
Britt, I think that you still have slightly high hopes. I don't know that we'll sell out at
8 tickets.
Their average capacity last year was 31,750 people was the average. Granted, it was mostly the other people's fans.
Jesus.
So even if you're selling out for other fans to get in the stands, it'll still be sold out. Eddie, Johnny, thank you for the $5.
Oh, yes.
Johnny. All right, you guys. Well, I feel like I've shaded myself enough as a Chargers fan on this live show. I think it's time we wrap things up for the weekend. This was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed our show today. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends. We really want to get the Fumble family. Have a drink with us.
Social
wash
distance.
Yes. I'm trying to do the dance now, but I'm too awkward. I can't.
Act like you're clapping, and then you just clap farther out. Because you can't touch when you're clapping because we're social distancing, okay? And then you got to spread it out, because we got to be farther away. And then, Chris, I don't see you moving, Chris. I don't see you go, Chris. We're not turning.
Where's the pelvic thrust, Chris? It's all up to you.
Okay,
you didn't do the mic challenge. There you go.
Zit, I'm on it. Yeah. Give me no thing. Give me no thing. I got it. Hey, this is all right. There you go.
Hey, we finally got Chris to do something.
I'm in it. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
About time, Chris. About time.
Yeah, because you didn't do it. He didn't do it in Weekend Zone.